All right, it is 6 o'clock, and this is the City of Merrill Committee of the Whole meeting. It is March 12th, 2024, and we are in the City Hall Council Chambers. Second item on the agenda is the roll call. Clerk?
Mr. Kaler.
Here.
Mr. Meyer.
Here.
Ms. Firmanek.
Here.
Mr. Lupton.
Here.
Mr. Rick.
Here.
Mr. Wykes.
Present.
Mr. Sabatke.
Here.
Mayor Haas.
Present.
Mr. Russell? No. Okay.
All
8
right.
out of 9.
Thank you. Next, we have public comment. Public comment. Hearing none, we'll move on to general agenda items for consideration. We have a presentation from Mary Jo Wheeler of Wheeler's Chevrolet on EV charging stations, placement, and program offered through GM. Discussion and consideration will follow the presentation. Ms. Wheeler?
Thank you, Steve. So I'm used to sitting in your seat. I'm chair of the EDB for the city of Marshfield. So yes, this is role reversal a little bit. So hi, everyone. I'm Mary Jo Wheeler with Wheeler's Family Auto Group. I'm here tonight to present to you the Dealer Community Charging Program. I met with Steve and a group of them probably about a year ago to try to get this program going, and I heard there was some questions, so I'm here to ask those, answer those, and see what the holdup is. So a little bit about me. I've been in the auto industry since I've been knee-high to a grasshopper. I'm kind of a unicorn. My mom was a Pernsteiner, born over in Medford. She got in the auto industry, and I was raised with a mom owning a car dealership, which I thought was normal. Come to find out it's a male-dominated world, and so my Barbie dolls that sold the G.I. Joe's cars was unusual. So I've always wanted to be in this industry. That being said, I'm kind of a pioneer and I'm a little bit of an outsider when I think and do things. I'm also chair of the Women's Retail Network with General Motors. So I sit at the table with the decision makers with General Motors. And one of the pilot programs that they had 2 years ago was the Dealer Community Charging Program. And I raised my hand to be one of the pilot dealers, one of the 6 they picked throughout the United States. And if you know anything about me, that means I'm not going to come in 6th. Nobody ever remembers who number 2 is. I was going to come in number 1. So I was competing to get in the ground the first charging stations in North America. And I chose Marshfield, which I'm born and raised from. And I gave the city, and that's how I ended up being on EDB, a run for their money, because I work in the public sector and I am not used to how government works. So when I approached the mayor and I approached some of the city people, Tom Churchy, I said, come on, let's do this. We can get this done really quick. And they said, no. We have to have meetings and agendas and things like this, and we need to discuss things. So I said, but you don't understand. This is a way to put Marshfield on the map nationally with some really positive news. So that being said, they taught me some things on patience, and I taught them a few things on the tenacity of a woman car dealer. So we got them in the ground. We were the first in North America. With that came GM actually coming to Marshfield and showing some highlights of our community. So I'd like to show you some videos from that. This was 2 years ago. So if you want to roll the beautiful bean footage.
as of today, we have 4 of our 5 chargers in, which is very exciting. And then we have 4 other dealerships throughout central Wisconsin. And the plan is also to have 10 at those 4 there, so 40 other chargers throughout the central Wisconsin area, which will give great access to people. Everything's usually done in big cities and Milwaukee, Chicago, Madison, Minneapolis. And I'm like, no, we can do this in central Wisconsin and we can be the first one on the map. And we're in an EV desert.
In our community, one of the challenges we face is that a lot of the federal dollars that are coming through that would help support EVs, our community is not eligible for because we're not next to a major interstate. So this is one way to get us across the finish line and get EV charging local.
So my plan, in essence, was I need to reach out to site hosts. I need to figure out, identify who that site host is and navigate that. And I had reached out to Nick Cum, and with the help of GM and their EV team, they had a Zeus map that actually was able to target hotspots in our community. And with that, we were able to look at those and then also work to see where the infrastructure was.
Flow is a manufacturer of electrical vehicle chargers as well as a network provider, because we not only manufacture the charger itself, we actually manage the network that the charger is on.
I think the relationship with Flow is important as well in this. I was able to have an opportunity to meet the vice president of Flow, and he is truly behind the products that we're putting in our communities.
Over 70,000 chargers installed currently within North America. This is happening. Electrification is happening, right? Electric vehicles are here. This is not a conversation anymore.
I am ecstatic about being involved in this and being part of the community with these EV chargers. So hopefully the person that's sitting there with their non-GM vehicle is looking at it and going, hey, that's an EV-ready dealership. Look at the investment that they made in their community. I'll go check them out. We're servicing our community, and hopefully I'll sell more cars down the road.
One of the stories I remember is talking to a owner of an EV, and as I was talking to her, I was able to explain that we were actually in the process of rolling out EV chargers, and she was very excited and very thankful that we were going to be putting them in our downtown area so that she could park and then go use our restaurants and shop.
So the dealer that's questioning and going, okay, she did it, I get it, but I don't know if it's going to work for me. It will work for you. Your community is looking for you to be a leader in this. I think GM dealers across the country, if they do this, we have a huge network and great stories to tell of people, how we've connected.
So the reason GM came out with this is there's over 4,000 GM dealers. Can you guys hear me okay if I walk around? Okay.
Actually, because of the camera and everyone need
You can take the mic off.
Yeah.
That's even more awkward. So there's 4,000 GM dealers. Every manufacturer has approached this different, whether it's Ford, whether it's Chrysler, whether it's GM, it's Toyota. Everybody's trying to figure this out. And you have this political piece of it as well, that, you know, if you're on the right, you hate EVs. If you're on the left, you love EVs, but you hate General Motors. So at the end of the day, I am a business owner in the community in Merrill. I provide jobs. I provide a tax base. I'm here to facilitate and make sure Merrill grows and sell more cars and trucks. Obviously, if McDonald's tells you to build purple arches, you build purple arches. So General Motors has said, hey, we're coming out with this dealer community charging program. Do you want to participate? And we've actually been able to see, now that it's been out for about 2 years, some of the struggles that some of these other dealers around me are having. Heritage, some of the dealers in the Valley, for example, they haven't embraced this, so they're having a hard time selling EVs because the people that buy them have range anxiety. And my best friend has an EV, a Hummer EV, and I'm not an EV person. I drive my Yukon XL with a 6.2 in it, and I want to be able to fill up at my gas station, and he loves his Hummer, and he's okay planning. I am not a planned person. I hop in my car and go somewhere, and I don't want to be, okay, where's the nearest charging station? But this does help with that for those people that do want to dip their foot in it. The EV market is growing every single year. It's gone from 2% to 5% to now this year 10%. So they're here, and manufacturers have made a lot of investments on different areas of this. So I think it'd be a great way for your community. What's getting passed around is the Zeus map. It's old because it's from last year, but those are the hot spots. So what GM does is they based on our cell phone, right? We're all in this location right now. They can pinpoint high concentrations of people and dwell times. So they were able to take Merrill and go, those are high concentrations of people that are sitting there for longer than an hour. Now, some of those you might recognize as schools. Other places you might be like, wow, I didn't realize people congregated there so long. So what we did, some of the success that we did at the other communities, Westfield, Merrill, or Medford, and Rapids and Marshfield, is I just drove around with people and said, does it make sense to put it here? Also, the cost of this is important. Marshfield Clinic, for example, wanted to make an electrical run. It was going to cost them $50,000. I'm like, you guys are nuts. No wonder we're going bankrupt here, right? So driving around having those conversations of like, hey, this makes sense here. It's close to a PED. It's a short run. It's not going to cost a lot to do conduit. It's not going to cost a lot to do a sonotube or anything like that. So those are some of the pieces of this to be thinking about. So in your packet that you guys have in front of you, it kind of explains if every dealer were to participate this across the country and they did the 10 chargers, that's where they come up with the 40,000. So GM's trying to build a network similar to what Tesla has. And GM and Tesla did partner, so our chargers are going to be working together to answer that question. So how it works, so we find a site host in the community. So I have reached out to the local owner of the health store in town. I think he owns it up in Minocqua too. Rhinelander. Yep. I talked to him and it was right at year end because I was like, oh, if the city's not going to do this, we need to get these in Merrill. Like we need to figure this out and get them here. I really think that what we did in Marshfield and what we did up in Medford, Westfield was a little different, but Marshfield and Medford were very similar. We found the library, the parks, they were all things that were owned by the city, so it made it a little easier to navigate because there was one contract with the site host because it's one contract with the city. Where down in Westfield, where you have Breakbush Chicken, I have one with the hotel that Carl Breakbush owns, and then I have two with Mark that owns like the little gas station thing there, and then I have one or two more with the city at the Aquifer, and then the park downtown. So it's just having that conversation of where do you think these would make sense. You have a really busy road, 3951, that people drive all day long from Madison and wherever else heading north. Wouldn't it be great to pull those people off the road and get them to come to your downtown and get them to come to your coffee shop, get them to come? If I was a business owner and I knew this was available, I'd be like, please sign me up. Where can I get this? It's free. Thank you. So we'd utilize a local electrician. Merkel Electric and Marshfield has helped out. Every community has a favorite local electrician. I think it's really important to stay local. But my electrician that's done this with me, Merkel Electric, he's literally gotten on the phone with the other electricians in the area that you choose and said, hey, this is how it works. I can help you with this or whatever. He does not mind doing that at all. Poor guy, if he's watching tonight, he'll be like, thanks, Mary Jo. They have turnkey installers. I don't recommend doing that. We all know how to do concrete and sonotubes and things like that. My husband has a construction background, so it's literally digging the hole, calling Digger's Hotline before you dig the hole, sonotube, and running the power in. And GM's there to back it up. I guess there were some questions too on the contract term. So it's 10 years. It's 5 years, I maintain everything, 5 years, you maintain it. If you guys don't like that, just make it 5 years. I maintain it, and after that, bye-bye, see you later. If you don't like them, I can rip them out. So that's, the contract is up for you guys. Everybody does it a little different. But you can also monetize them. So on page 5 is the example of what the charger looks like. It's a level 2 charger. So there's a difference between level 1, level 2, and level 3. I unfortunately would love to put level 3 out at my store. I bought a $50,000 charger to put out there, and I cannot put it in. I can't put it in because there's no, and I'm going to screw this terminology up, phase 3 power that runs out that way. So County Concrete and myself have no high power out in that area. But this is a level 2, so that's what I ended up putting at the dealership. It's a slower charging. It's 19.2 kilowatts, and that is the total. So somebody that's going to top off or sit at a location for an hour to 3 or 4 hours, depending how long they need or how low they are with charging. And every vehicle's different. Some vehicles you can condition your batteries to actually prepare for the charge. Other vehicles, it's too bad, so sad, you gotta plug in and the battery does its own thing. GM vehicles you can condition. So it's dual pedestal, 2 chargers, 1 unit, so that's how you get to 10. There's 5 of those. 2 times 5 is 10. It's all LTE connectivity, so it's all on your smartphone. You download the app, you put your credit card in the app, and then you sign up for however many minutes, and you guys control the pricing. And I can show you, I have my laptop here tonight too, how I monetize mine at the dealerships. So I have 4 of the big juicy ones at the stores. My biggest fear with Nick Cum was, oh my God, what am I doing putting this thing out in front of my dealership? It's gonna take a lot of juice. These level 2s don't, the level 3s do. We have seen an increase with our electrical bill at our dealerships with the level 3s, but it's the price of being a McDonald's, right? I do monetize them. In the state of Wisconsin, you can. It is illegal for you to charge for power, but you can charge for time or space. So that's the loophole around these, how people have gotten away with that. So everybody's doing it. You charge for the space, not the electricity that you're passing on.
Are you making back on what you're charging versus what you're spending more on WPS?
Mm-hmm. I am. Yep. Not a lot. I'm not getting rich on it. But
Plus your initial investment, or how long
no,
is it going to
my
take?
initial investment, I've had to buy 5 forklifts at $50,000 a piece and 5 chargers at $40,000 a piece. And so my return on investment with this is long. So, and guess what? The technology is going to change in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the hard thing. So what's nice about this, if you guys have them for now, and in 5 years you get rid of them, but at least you have something. Something's better than nothing.
What happens when you get rid of them? What are you left behind with to have to, if you decide they're not working, we need them pulled out, what are you left with?
A pedestal, like just a piece of concrete on the ground. So the whole thing comes, and then we could cut the anchor bolts off. So when you're pouring the concrete sonotube and you're pouring that, you have the anchor bolt plate that would be in there, and that's what holds the pedestal on there. So literally you take those bolts off, the whole thing comes off, you disconnect the electricity, and you could you could grind off the bolts and cover it with dirt if you want to. But it's a sonotube, about this big, poured with concrete, 4 to 6 feet in the ground, depending. They have the specifications for that. Cable management system. One of the things I did learn, the first 2 chargers I bought in Rapids and Marshfield were Blink chargers. And I was just after cost, right? I have to buy 5 of these big chargers for the dealership. I'm just gonna go after the cheapest one out there and satisfy General Motors. What I found out is you get what you pay for. So I ended up, thank goodness, a snowplow took out the one in Rapids. Sorry, the driver was not injured. We didn't have the posts up yet, and he just took it out. The other one in Marshfield was causing me problems. Well, what I found out is every time I called and said 1-800-BLINK, I have a problem with my charger out in front of Marshfield, they said, oh, we're not in charge of the charger. That's the network provider. We just sell you the charger. The guts inside are another company. So then I was on the phone with the other company. Flow is the same network provider as well as the person that makes the charger. So I ended up having them buy back my one in Marshfield, and I went to all Flow chargers at all my stores. So I have one person, that's a Canadian company. They're not made over in China. They actually just built a plant over in Michigan, so now they're being made in the US as well. So I learned the lesson the hard way of you don't want just to buy a charger because it's cheap. You want to buy a charging company that also is making the network inside of it and communicates. So that's my little story on that. The cable management piece of it, they have nice cords that stretch out. Some of the other things that I've heard nightmare stories on is people leave those cords lying. Ours in Merrill like that. When I had my free charger up here for the first year, the people, you would think you're providing free power, that they would pick up the hose or the cord and stick it back up. Nope, 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 they just throw it on the ground. These charging units have like a retractable, so it's nice. The cord isn't gonna get run over or stepped on. In big cities, they do sometimes cut the cords for the metal that's inside them. I highly recommend against that because you'd probably get shocked. Just kidding. This on page 6 is a diagram of obviously how some places have set them up. We've done mostly like figure 1. And we've painted ours green. We do have people that, I don't think mine and Merrill are painted. The ones in Marshfield and Rapids are painted, but obviously I was running into time constraints with weather. So, and then finally on page 7, who pays for what? This is what's most important, especially a city on a budget. GM pays for the chargers and the shipping. The pedestals, cable management, branding, network maintenance, and warranty is paid by me for 5 years. Installation, permitting, and electricity. So you would have to buy the sonotube, the concrete, you'd have to handle the permitting, and then the electricity to it. But if that electricity run is managed properly and close to something, it shouldn't be all that much. And we were able to use EDB money from the city of Marshfield to help fund some of this, because obviously every city is on a budget with stuff. But we looked at it as economic development because we were bringing people into our community that would not normally come in. That being said, I feel like a chicken in the, never mind. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Well, the first one is, for installation, not counting for cost electricity, how much are you proposing that you pay and we pay?
For installation?
Just for installation, just get it set up.
How much is concrete a yard? How much is sonotube a yard?
Concrete has gone up
It has.
a lot, right?
Right.
But concrete also just be a small portion of it. I would think we're just talking a small slab.
It's a small portion. You got the sonotube and you have the run of the electricity. I would say that Westfield did it the most economically. They had the village maintenance person. He went out and dug all the holes before the ground. He put the blankets down before the ground froze and dug all the holes. And then he poured the sonotube, and he had a buddy that did concrete on the weekend and came and did it. And then he just did the anchor bolts and set it.
I understand that part. What about the mechanics, the actual charger itself?
The what? The
Price for the actual charger itself?
the charger's free.
Free, okay, so we're just paying for the base and the
Yeah.
electrical hookups?
You don't have the, I
Okay.
literally give you. so
Sorry
the
to
ch-
interrupt you, but okay.
That's
what-
okay.
yeah.
No, I was misunderstanding the question too. So
Okay.
no, the chargers get shipped in to me
Mhm.
in boxes, and then, yeah, whenever you guys are ready for the different pieces of them, then you just come and grab them.
So realistically, with normal labor, what have you seen for expenses for the communities?
$1,000,
Okay,
roughly. Just depends. It depends how you do it. You know, if you sub all of it out and you hire the most expensive electrician, but that's why I mentioned Merkel's willing to work with your electrician when so they're not spending time, like you're paying that electrical person per hour, right?
Sure.
And if he's got to figure something out, why, when I can just have him call my guy and be like, hey, what do you do with this network thing? How
Okay.
does it get hooked up?
so I'm hearing we get hooked up for about $1,000. We have no liability on them for 5 years.
Correct.
Okay.
If that's what you guys want.
When you talked to Golden Harvest, was that place you're talking to about the store? What was their response? Were they willing?
He wants some, so, yeah.
You talked to them about the $1,000?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And most businesses like M&H in Westfield, they actually did it themselves, and it wasn't city dollars involved, but he wanted it in front of his convenience store because he's pulling people in and hopefully going into his popcorn and chocolate shop.
Okay, so you would anticipate maybe there's 3, 4, 5 private parties that would put these in without aid of the city at all?
The only person I've talked to, because I was frustrated that, I mean, all the other cities have said, yes, we want to do this for growing our city. And I was frustrated after my conversation with Steve, and so I called somebody. So, like I said, I'm a girl that gets things done, and
Sure.
I'll get it done. But, I mean, I'm coming to you saying, hey, if you have parks or things in the community, you have a great sports complex on the other side of town. and that's a way to draw people in. Even with your tournaments, when you start doing tournaments, you can advertise, we have EV charging. So not everybody's going to drive an EV vehicle, but at least it puts you on the map a little bit.
And you're also putting them some at your dealership? Some
No,
chargers? You're not?
these chargers are not allowed to be put at a dealership.
Will you have a charger of some sort?
I have to have the big chargers at
the
my dealership,
three-phase?
the level 3.
Okay.
Yep.
And you don't have three-phase in your?
Nope. So I had to buy one of these because that's the only thing that my dealership is capable of
Okay.
handling.
We bought a phase converter for the Rain car wash. Is that a three-phase? I forget. Voltage converter. Oh, okay.
We didn't, we wouldn't have bought that for them.
Oh, sure we did. I questioned it. Nobody knew what it was.
I do know the concrete company, so I did look at, there's an infrastructure money that's out there from Governor Evers, and the deadlines for the grant application for that, I think were back in June of last year. And I looked at applying for that because that road is on the main thoroughfare and it has to be like within a mile of an exit. And I went down to County Materials and I said, hey, would you be interested in this if I applied for this? And they said, hell yeah, because they have a lot of fires and things that start because of the lack of power out there. So, but that's a totally separate note. It's just something that does need to get developed. Infrastructure, right? None of it's developed.
Yeah. Just in closing, I'll let someone else talk. I'm not sure if I share the projection that EV sales are going to grow. There are you mentioned the anxieties and the distances, the fire hazards. They're not real dependable on predicting how far you can go. I'm concerned about our electrical grid supporting them. I know in California, I talked to someone today that lived in San Diego. They said in the summertime, their power goes out because so many cars are charging. We're not to that point, and we won't be for a long time in this area. But there are major concerns. The reason I bring that up is we had a Bitcoin miner want to come into town. Bitcoin mining takes a tremendous amount of electricity. So I'm thinking for the future, more electric cars, more Bitcoin mining, more computer, we might be in a power crisis down the road. So that's just a word of wisdom to the council that we may want to upgrade or look upgrading our power grid.
I would venture to guess that Bitcoin mining, because of the way it went down so badly this last year, I mean, it was an epic crash of that. I would assume to guess that anyone that tries to get involved with that is doing that very carefully. It's not going to be like what we saw.
I know of two people doing it
with
right
our
now.
little friend.
I'm not going to give names if I know it's being done right now.
Nathan, can I answer his question really
Yes.
quick? Okay. So one of the things that different manufacturers, so not all EV vehicles are created equal. And one of the forward-thinking things that General Motors did, and that's why we were a little slower to come out, was their battery. Their Ultium battery is actually going to be two-way. So like the gentleman I just sold a Blazer EV to yesterday down in Marshfield, one of the reasons that he bought a Blazer EV over a BMW is because he bought the $5,000 converter that he's going to need to convert power in his vehicle. So there was some forward thinking that went on with GM with their Ultium battery, that when there are blackouts and brownouts, the battery actually charges the house actually charges the car. So this is kind of the Wild West we're in with things,
Sure.
but to answer that they're there to help power as well.
And the last thing is we tried an electric bus here a few years ago. Anyone remember that? Rumor is we got it in the winter and it never made it up to over 40 degrees inside for heat. So we're in a cold weather climate. That all being said, I think there are cars on the road, and Merrill might be a spot for someone with electric vehicle to charge up, but I think it would be right along the Highway 5139 corridor. I'm not sure about further into the city if someone do that. You probably just want to be on a trip up north and want to pull in and charge and take off again, maybe have a meal. And I would think that approaching the private parties would be the first place to go, and then get the city involved as the EVs evolve. And that's my last comment. And Anyone else wants to comment? I wish you would.
I do have a question. So
Yes.
I understand that maintenance-wise on the actual chargers would fall under you for, let's say, 5 years if we did a 5 and 5 contract. Who's maintaining the actual money coming through? And like, if you're maintaining it, are we getting a portion of that? And
You get all of it.
we would get all of it.
Yep, you monetize it for 5 years. It's all yours. So like in the city of Marshfield, Tom Churchy, he has the credit card, the ACH, it goes into an account and he monetizes it. He controls the amount. Just like mine, my big ones at the dealership, I control the ACH on those and I control the amount.
Okay. I'm going to echo what Mr. Sabaki just said in saying that I think it should go towards like the businesses around here, like say some of our gas stations, Golden Harvest, Walmart even should be looking at doing this before the city would get involved. I just do not feel with how we are set up right now, with with budgets being the way that they are, that we should be getting involved in the power providing business. I just do not see that as something that we can do personally right now.
I'm going to ask a question. I asked the mayor if I could do this. Is this something that you're approaching the municipality first, and then the private would see the benefit and then maybe add on?
Yeah, I had good luck with it.
Okay.
Doing it with the municipality in Marshfield and in Medford and Westfield. I mean, I just have had good luck with it. And it seems to be something that the cities themselves, like, they don't have the funds to do this, right? Like, you can't go buy a $10,000 charger, like, times 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much those cost. And if you just have to spend a little bit of money to put some concrete in and run some electrical, it's a good way to promote your city, your community, to promote your local businesses, that you're pulling them off of the road. I disagree with putting them near the road. I think they should be near your parks and where you're pulling people. You have dwell times of an hour to 2 hours. So put them downtown where there's a local coffee shop that somebody could sit and have coffee, because then you're benefiting. The tax base that those businesses are providing you, this is a way for you to be a thank you back, to say, look, we put a charger across the street from you so that people come and support you.
And that makes sense from the map that you provided. That people you wouldn't have them on the outskirts of the town. You would have them downtown, especially since they're going to be charging for an hour to 3 hours.
Mhm.
So then they'd be able to spend.
Can I just ask a general question?
Yeah.
You've been in the car business forever,
Yep.
is what you're saying. What percentage of your sales are EV versus your other vehicles?
3 years ago, this year, about 10%. So it's just the way we're going. Like, the manufacturer is making these vehicles and has these huge investments, and you have this ping pong back and forth with administration. The thing is that people don't realize with the change of administration is the EPA is the one that's regulating this footprint. It has nothing to do, the guy in the office can kind of pull the lever a little, but the EPA federal guidelines in order for GM to continue selling big trucks and 6.2 gas engines, we have to buy our credits from Tesla right now. So every manufacturer is buying their fuel economy standard credits from Tesla, because they're the only EV manufacturer that's banked enough credits for the EPA. And they have so many, they're willing to sell them. So they're making money off of Ford and Chrysler and GM that say, hey, we've always sold big trucks. In order for us to keep selling big trucks, we need to sell, for every 3 gas vehicles that get sold, we have to sell 1 EV vehicle. So this isn't going away, and there's going to be more of a push.
Okay, then why are we hearing about Ford and other companies that are saying, we're not selling these EV vehicles, we're going to stop trying to even produce them anymore because they're not desired by people who are buying them?
So Ford had, like, every manufacturer has had a different come to market. I think Toyota, to be perfectly honest, probably had the best play that they came out with, because they're going to do a hybrid. We had a hybrid 10, 15 years ago. It was the Volt. My son drove it. It was gas, it was electric, it was perfect. It didn't have the range anxiety. Ford decided first to market, right? Like, I'm going to have the Ford Lightning, it's going to be the first one out there. Guess what they didn't develop? They didn't change anything about their car or truck. And guess what happened? It has range problems. Guess what started to happen in the media? It's got range issues, right? You can't go anywhere with it. GM ended up making like a skateboard. So they built the Ultium battery and they said, we want to get the most range we can out of this battery. And then they basically put vehicles on top of it. So that's why you have the Blazer, you have the Equinox, you have the Silverado. So every manufacturer had a different play with it, and that's the joys of capital and free world.
And then we're stuck with all these batteries that we can't dispose of in the long run because of the EV vehicles. And then there's the radiation
I
that
am
comes off
not
the
here to
charging
sell you.
stations.
Listen.
And then there's. So take a guess.
No, I totally agree with you. My husband and I, behind the scenes, trust me, but I have to do what my manufacturer is saying, hey. And the other thing is we have the ability of all of us dealers to put a network in. We've been able to, in central Wisconsin, people now can get places because we have a dealership up in Medford. So if you think about that, if you're driving from Coloma and you're driving north, there's not a lot. When I say we're an EV desert, you should see on PlugShare the comments when I put that charger in over here at Merrill, and it was free. The only reason it was free, I wanted to monetize it, but I couldn't, is because it was old technology, but it's what I had, okay?
And how soon does the rest of this stuff become old technology?
I would say 10 years. That's why they limited it. Honestly, 10 years. So that
That's
charger.
why they do the 10-year contracts.
Yep.
Like
Mary Jo,
all computerized equipment is a
Yeah.
10-year.
related question, and that
Most
there's one
computers
charger at the
are
Quick Trip
obsolete
store
by
right
6
now, you
months.
probably noticed. That's probably a level 1, I never see it being used. You know anything about that? Or can
It's
you
a
comment
very
on
slow
that?
charge. Yep, very slow
It
charge.
probably takes forever to
Okay.
I was about to say that's like trying to charge your washing machine off of 9-volt batteries.
So, what, the one charger we have in town right now is kind of useless, is that where we are? Is that-
Basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just feel like we're looking at, we're trying to look ahead at a potential problem, right? That's maybe for 2030 right now. Because just in my estimation, I realized, like, I got an aunt that lives in San Diego. It's kind of the same thing that Sabaki had said. They got power outages in the summertime because people are trying to charge their EVs. But it's great weather for the EV batteries. They don't freeze down there in San Diego, and that whole West Coast is that way. Here, I don't think we'll ever see a winter like this again, where it's below 40 or above 40 degrees most days. I highly doubt we'll see that again in our lifetimes. But that's, so we're going to get freezing weather again. I would assume that by the time this is a regular thing and we're actually looking at doing this, we will,
I have
see better batteries.
another question. Who carries liability on these? So if somebody's charging their car at a charging station that we have contracted to put in, and it blows up for whatever reason, who's covering that?
So if I plug in at your park for a camper, an RV, or whatever, who has liability insurance at your parks right now? If I trip and fall and I skin my knee or I fall in a crack that's not maintained, who has liability insurance?
Okay, and these are, yes, they're proven entities that never start on fire or blow up. Just
They
my
don't.
comment.
I
That's just my comment.
I just did training. I'm not going to sell you on EVs. I'm not here to sell you on EVs, okay?
You're probably not going to sell me on charging stations either.
Okay.
In case you haven't picked up on that.
I haven't at all. I'm still working on it, though. You're not a cat person, you're not a dog person, and you hate EVs. I got it.
I keep things right out on the table. You don't have to
that. So
second
do I.
guess me ever.
Radical.
Right, Steve?
I don't know about that, LaDon.
I have a couple questions.
Yes.
And a statement. I was just in Florida, and at the resort I stayed at, the second resort, because the first one was,
They don't limo
probably had
drivers.
8 charging stations for about 20 spots. Never saw anybody charging, but I just thought about there are probably much rental cars there, so probably wouldn't be a need. But I was surprised to see that many. Are there any grants that you're hearing of other communities? This is the kind of thing that our governor embraces. And if we were named WAFSA, he'd already be up here installing one. But I'm wondering, do you know of any grants now that are still out there that we could possibly get into?
There's tons of grants for this stuff. Do you guys have a grant writer for the city of
We
Merrill?
do not.
Do you have a grant ready in the county?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have seed money? We have.
Not really.
What is
seed
the
money.
laugh about? I'm legitimately asking if you're.
There's that table right there, right in front of you.
No, the money is obviously an issue with us.
That's okay, and we can solve that by maybe like looking at the county for seed money or something like that.
Yeah.
There's stuff like that out there.
Does the county have a grant writer?
The Lincoln County Economic Development.
Yeah. Yep. There's money.
Can
out there.
anybody ask a question?
Or you?
Who is on
Can
the
anybody
phone?
ask a question? Because I have one.
Who,
Who is on the phone?
It's Brad from Transit.
Oh, Brad, okay. Brad,
My question is, how does this at all integrate into WisDOT's electrical infrastructure plan?
If you kept it, so the 120-page document that you can download and read off of WisDOT's site, if you keep it on the corridor, it would be. But, I mean, the corridor is 3951. You have to be within a mile of the exit.
On that subject, Mr. Mayor, I believe we do have a grant that may be forthcoming for camping. Would that possibly fit into that, and could that be researched? Therefore, the charger would go on at the festival grounds?
the grant that we have for the camping is the ARPA money from the county.
Right. My question is, could it be at least brought up whether that would be something money could be used for?
Yeah, I'd have to ask,
That's my
ask the
comment.
county if they'd allow that.
Those of you who don't know, we're planning putting a 20-unit campground in our fairgrounds,
Okay.
which, and that could be a natural for someone to charge up their
Yep.
pickup truck that takes forever to charge, yeah.
Pulls big campers.
They're fifth wheel.
I have a couple more questions. How much does it cost per double unit to install it? What is our estimate for our investment?
About $1,000.
Just over 20,000 for 15 for Nino, and somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 for us. So it's 20,000 for 5 units. So we're looking at about 4,000 a unit.
Can we just do one?
She wants to do 5, don't you?
You can do one. You can do none. You can do 3.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to trying one down the Agri Pavilion and see what it does.
And that's the partnership that we did in Westfield. Like, the city didn't do all of them. Carl Breakbush, that owns the motel, he wanted one in front of his motel. All I'm here is in front of you as you guys are community leaders. You know your community. There's some people in the community that hate charging, and that's okay. There's other people in the community that maybe have a coffee shop that if you asked them and said, hey, there's this program out there, would you be interested? Just have the conversation. Just don't shoot this. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater with this, is what I'm saying. I'm coming to you with something, and it's an opportunity for your community.
I'll turn to the finance director that's present and say, do we have $4,000 laying around? Check under your chair. No, I'm not. I mean, we're not paying a police officer to salary. We have some money coming in there. I wouldn't be opposed to moving this to more of an exploratory to see, if we have even half that, and we try to get some money from the state on a grant.
Yeah,
I will say it's very, very early in the year. We are having some savings because of the light winter weather. So it's saying if you would like to explore different options for funding this, we can look.
I would add to Alderman Kaler's suggestion that maybe the first one might be just to pull people off the freeway. We own several properties around the Pine Ridge area. We could just at least get people off the highway to restaurants and stores.
Maybe with
But that doesn't get them into the city.
But it gets them off the freeway.
So they Uber into the city then?
Well, I'm saying there are restaurants and,
The part of the
places
program
to eat, but
that they're looking at in GM is to get us towards this area in this downtown area. And I mean, the spots we're kind of looking at here, I mean, let's face it, just,
Put in one of the municipal lots.
Right.
I know we talked about that last year, you know, doing the municipal lots ones, but
But again, the mark is so far out of town.
Yeah, but it would bring people into the mark to use for when they have the hockey tournaments and the ball tournaments.
yeah, I mean, there are a lot of tournaments out at the Mark area, so it would.
Things that go on year round there.
Like,
Right.
I'm not opposed to this 100% like the chairwoman to my left is.
It's okay. Quit beating her up, Nathan.
But
Rod, do you want to talk about where you kind of, the spots that you kind of work?
Proposed 2 at the Mark, 1 at the city lot on Grand Avenue by Social and Sick, 1 at the Agri Pavilion, and 1 at the festival grounds, near the Beerman building, for a total of 5. And the reason we had the 2 at the Mark was just because of the pool and the tournaments out there where we felt there was more of a need for probably 4 out there.
I'm sorry, Rod, where was the third one again?
There was 4.
It was the Mark, 1 at Agra, 1 at Festival Grounds, 1 at the city lot by S&S.
By SNS, okay.
We did look at one by Vinny Towers and that lot too, by Cosmo.
All right, that I would think that would be a good lot to have it at because of all of the businesses, not just along Main Street, but then First Street as well and Second Street. But
What's the lot next to Social, what number is that?
You got me. I don't remember it. The one next to the Cosmo there was more challenging with the layout as far as feed. We'd have to put a separate transformer on a pole, and a separate pole there, so.
I got a building you can buy down there, really, that cool. I'll make a motion to enter into agreement with Wheeler's GM to install 3 units, 1 at the Mark Center, 1 at the municipal lot next to Social, and 1 at the Agri Pavilion. And I will welcome anyone who wants to add on to that, or second it.
I'll second it for discussion, but I think instead of the one by S&S, I think the festival grounds would be a better choice.
That echoes what I'm saying too. I think the second for discussion means we should have more discussion as the locations. You're just arbitrarily picking 3 locations. I think everybody has their own opinion.
I will withdraw my motion and give you another one, because I forgot to add a part.
Is the second okay with withdrawing?
Yeah.
I make a motion to enter into a 5-year agreement with Wheelers to install 3 units, 1 at the Mark, 1 at the Agri Pavilion, and 1 at a place to be determined at the Merrill Fairgrounds.
I'll second that.
And again, I just want to add that maybe we should discuss more which 3 locations they should be at. You know, I'm not, you know.
That's what we have, the
but that's what
motion
we
and
have
second,
discussion for.
And now that's what you have the discussion for.
Right.
And that's why I'm discussing it.
Instead of by the Agri Pavilion, wouldn't it be better to maybe put it in the parking lot across from the courthouse? Would it be close to both the downtown and the trail?
Didn't we kind of give that lot to the county as part of, hey, use this for your all-day parking?
No, the reason we went with the Agri Pavilion was for the trail.
Yeah.
The trail, but it's away from everything else. And in the wintertime, it's not a really good spot to do anything, you know. Or if you were closer to the downtown, it would be, I think it would be better.
I would suggest that we put one in the property by the old Walmart that we paid $300,000 for and trying to market as, you know,
But
as
it's not bringing people
advantage
to
to
the town.
market
Yeah.
that property.
There's nothing there. Like you said, you're sitting there for an hour, you're trying to get them into the city.
Right, you want them in the downtown.
Well,
area.
we want to sell it and hopefully get a restaurant there, and that would be just a little more incentive to get somebody to buy the lot.
I think that you could sell when whoever wants to build there wants to build there, they could put it in.
About to say, there's plenty of businesses in that area too that could go out, just get this as well. I
Right.
mean, Quick Trip already has the 110 there, and truly, there's enough up there that you could waste 2 or 3 hours. Trust me, I know, my wife is good at that.
Did she watch these meetings?
Not
So we
right
have
now,
a-
she doesn't.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
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 Okay, roll call? Because I don't know who said what.
What are the 3 locations then that we're going with?
The Mark,
Okay.
the festival grounds,
And the lot by social, right?
and
Nope,
no,
it was the Mark,
Agra.
Agra
Agra.
Pavilion, and the Festival Grounds.
Okay.
Is it possible that we could,
How about we just make a motion to put in 3 and we determine?
I like that.
Determined by the
better.
marketing committee could also become involved.
I like
So-
that.
Well, let's see how the roll call.
That sounds like a win-win.
You want to do a roll call vote, then I get to kick the cat again, or?
Well, I mean, I think that it was 5-3, but,
Okay. I'll make another motion then
Oh,
to,
goodness sakes. hold on. Okay.
enter in a 5-year agreement with Wheelers to install 3 units within the city of Merrill to be determined at a very near future date.
Second.
that
So
way,
we withdrew the previous one.
It lost.
Correct. So we
Anybody
have-
wanna mark another spot on there?
so we have a motion and a second to enter an agreement with Wheelers Chevrolet on the EV charging stations for 3 in the city of Merrill to be determined at a very near future date. Any further discussion? Hearing none, clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sure, I gotta find my roll call sheet now. Okay, here we go. Mr. Kaler.
Aye.
Mr. Meyer.
No.
Ms. Vermanek.
No.
Mr. Lupton.
Aye.
Mr. Rick.
Aye.
Mr. Wikes.
Aye.
Mr. Sabatky.
Aye.
Mayor Haas.
Aye.
And Paul's excused. 6,
6-2.
6-2.
6-2.
This is
So we
motion
got,
number 3.
so we have, well, but that'll be going on to our next council
Okay,
meeting, which is
10 minutes.
in 10 minutes, so.
sounds good. Can I make a recommendation that you guys try to coordinate, if we find 2 other places, 2 businesses that are interested? One of the things they did down in Westfield is it was the power of all 5 going in. The concrete truck comes once, does all of them. It just saves cost. So if you can do it all within a day or 2. But
I'm
anyway,
assuming, concrete we do ourselves.
That's a pretty good sidewalk, concrete. And she said a sonotube is pretty easy to work with.
We'll take care of 3, you take care of the other.
All right. Hearing no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.